Well, welcome back, everybody. Hey, it's another bowl game. This time we're heading to the balmy environment of Boise, Idaho for the famous Idaho Potato Bowl. By the way, I'm your host of this shenanigans, Scott Steehn, lead handicapper at winnersandwhiners.com. This kid right over here, you know him, you love him. Who is he?
I'm Scott Reichel. Happy to be here.
Happy to be here. All right. So this is I always think this is like the weirdest spot for a bowl game because it ain't in a dome. It ain't like, playing in Detroit or something where everything's in a dome. This is out there in the elements. Scott, what's the weather like for this game?
It's going to be cold. Well, let me just pull that up for a second.
Back to you, Jim. Going to be cold up there in Idaho. I know we've talked about this before. I know you haven't been up there. I would strongly want to suggest to everybody, if you get an opportunity, if you're within a couple hundred miles, go to Boise, see this stadium, because it is the blue on TV. It does not do it justice. It is that freaking blue. You know the one I hate, Scott? It's the team playing in this game. That's their home stadium.
Oh, you don't like the gray threes for Michigan?
God, no.
Yeah, it's not very good. This might be a snow game, by the way. Projected snow on Tuesday in Boise.
Snow way. Wow.
So about 60% chance precipitation, and the wind should be about 8 miles per hour or so.
Wow.
But it might be a snow game. So I'm curious how the French fry bath is going to look in the snow.
We shall see. As of this recording, San Jose State's 3.5-point favorite. 44.5 is the number. Now, Scott, we're recording this on Wednesday the 14th, so we're starting to get pretty far out. So if we don't say it on every video, on these ones that tend to be the Tuesday, Wednesday games, we're recording those 5, 6, 7 days out. So you guys definitely want to make sure that nothing has changed as far as the lines and injuries and opt-outs and things like that. So, Scott, this Eastern Michigan team, man, they closed strong there in the MAC, but you always have questions about how much does the MAC suck? Because
it's really a fair question. In bowl games, historically, the MAC has been, let's just say, hit or miss.
That's my point. That's exactly the point I was going to make, because we get spoiled because we see these teams play during the week and it's the only game on. Everybody's all in on MAC football for about a month. They're in November. And then you get kind of a false perspective because you say, well, this team beat up on this team, so they must be really good. And what you find out in bowl season a lot of times is no, both teams sucked. So is that going to be the case here as Eastern Michigan goes up against the San Jose State team that started well and then had a death in the family and kind of hit the skids after that, Scott?
They did, and I'm actually looking at all my picks up to this point. I don't exactly have many underdogs, but I actually like the dog here. I like Eastern Michigan. I think that based on the team closed, I do think they have more offensive weapons. But the main reason why I like it's actually based on the weather. We looked at the snow. The weather it's going to be cold, obviously. But the issue with that is if you're going to have a snow game, you probably need to run the ball. San Jose State is really not good at running the ball at all. In fact, they're one of the worst teams in the country at running the ball. They're averaging just 92.5 rushing yards per game. So they rely heavily on Cordero, good quarterback, Hawaii transfer. But still, I think the bad weather really benefits Eastern Michigan. Plus, you have a California team playing in the snow in Idaho. It's not exactly a good spot for a bunch of California kids to be in. Eastern Michigan, they grew up in the cold. They're going to be used to it. I'll take Eastern Michigan in the spot. I think getting 3.5 makes a lot of sense here to take it. I like the money line at plus 150, and I like the under based on the weather. But if you're going to give me a bad weather environment, I'll take the team that's A, used to it, B, better on the ground. Give me the Eagles.
Yeah, I'm with you. And, we kind of alluded to it with the schedule, the way they came home down the stretch.
Bunch of crappy teams, but they still won the games.
Well, they
Akron turned out to be okay, I guess, because they almost beat Buffalo in the final game.
Well, and Ball State's got that
kid. They got Carson Steele, who transferred, but I still like him.
Yeah, absolutely. And they covered against Toledo. They lost by 3 to Toledo.
Mm-hmm.
So walked to Central Michigan, which they were a 1-point favorite there. So they're outperforming their metrics, is what we're saying here. They're 4-0-1 last 5 games.
I believe San Jose State was 0-7 against the spread to close out the year.
That's correct. They have not covered since the 7th of October against UNLV, and a couple of they definitely couple of bad losses there. Utah State kind of comes to mind because that was a team that was really inconsistent. They mostly played bad football, but every once in a while they jump up and bite you.
Mhm.
But I'm with you on the Eastern Michigan here. I'm looking at the way these teams have closed. I think the Eastern Michigan, I always look at who's more excited to be there.
I really think the wrong team is favored, though. You have a California team that can't run the ball being favored by more than a field goal in the snow.
I don't know how winters are in San Jose because San Jose's, inland.
I get it, but it's still California. I'm sure they're not used to 15-degree weather.
Well, I mean, there's places in California where they get, Tahoe's in California. I mean,
Okay.
it's split, but
I'll look up if any of these kids are from Tahoe, but I can guarantee you that most of the kids from Michigan are a lot more comfortable in the snow.
well, that's the other thing too. Eastern Michigan, you figure they got a lot of local kids.
Yeah.
I mean, both these teams probably have a lot of local kids, but Eastern Michigan, yeah, I like the weather factor there. If we're going to get snow, and that's something else to keep your eye on.
And you mentioned motivation. You think the California kids are thrilled to travel to Idaho to play in freezing weather outdoors?
I don't think they're thrilled about this game at all. I think
Yeah.
this is a team that's lost the air out of their balloon. I really do. I think they're just ready for the season to be over. I think after the start they got off to, they expected much better things to happen, and they didn't. They had a tragedy there, and then the season got away from them. So I'm going to I'll play Eastern Michigan with you. I like that under. I'm going to grab that under today. As a matter of fact, 44.5, and I'll take a chance that even with decent weather, that stays under the total.
It's going to be cold automatically, but once again, worst case, I'd say 50-50 shot at snow.
Okay. All right. Good enough. All right. That's going to do it for our breakdown of the famous Idaho Potato Bowl. Scott, next up, we're headed to a little warmer climes as we head down there to Boca Raton and check out the roof.com Boca Raton Bowl featuring Toledo and Liberty Bibberty. Stay tuned for that. As always, don't forget to like, subscribe, share the video, talk about it incessantly with everyone you meet. Do all those things. We appreciate it, of course. And we'll be right back with our next bowl breakdown. Stay tuned.